Hey, welcome to Creative Block. We're your host, V.
And Sean, we interview people in the creative industries about their life, work, and hobbies while we doodle jam.
We asked people on Twitter and Instagram. We're on Instagram now. Come and follow us on Instagram. If they had specific topics they wanted us to discuss, as well as some drawing prompts.
Today we have with us Mike Austin.
Hi!
Hi.
And we pronounced it Mike Katsu, but it's not Katsu, it's Cat Steven Universe. And we were told, we were told not to say it, and then I explained it. But I do think that is funny that we misunderstood the name. So I wanted to.
Yeah, when you wrote it, two separate words, I was like, sure.
I really thought it was like Katsudon.
Yeah, that's what everybody thinks. But
I was like, oh, Mike just really likes Katsu.
Well, some people think my name is Lord's Pew instead of Lord Spew. And so there's people that are like, "Oh, he's a religious artist." I'm not. But so I get it.
Mike, I think let's see. We're trying to get creative with this question, but let's see. When was the moment you realized you potentially could have a career in animation?
God, that's such a deep question.
I know.
The first question. Sorry, this is now I'm but that's why I was just talking earlier, but now I'm okay, whatever. But I would say as a child, obviously, I sort of had that knack to draw. Are you drawing someone praying at a pew?
Lord's Pew.
Sorry, I was just looking down at the gym, man. But I would say as a child, drawing, but I had of course no, this is me 7 or 8 years old, whatever. I have no idea that cartoons, or that there's people behind making cartoons. I just think there's something that come on TV inexplicably or something, and I watch it.
Yeah.
But it's but I think the first time I actually thought about it was you might be hinted by my name, it's Steven Universe, and on Tumblr, when they had the Steven Crooniverse Tumblr, which was all the sort of behind the scenes model sheets and assets and designs, and the thing I looked at most was the boards and animatics.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's kind of when I was oh, that's what these people do. That's, the terminology would be if I want to do something like this, I want to be a board artist. Oh, that's what you call it.
Mm-hmm.
And then just I would just go on the Crooniverse Tumblr and just wow, watch all flip through the PDFs of the boards and look at the animatics of full episodes and be and that's when I was oh, that's what I want to do, because yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's great that you got, and how old were you when you saw all of the blogs on Tumblr for Steven Universe?
13.
That's great. It's so yeah. I think
very young.
It's really interesting to see that Tumblr, it was definitely very aspirational, I think, at the time, to see all of the art from the crews so accessible online. And so you're 13. Do you feel like it was kind of hard to convince your parents to maybe pursue a career in art? How did you feel about, how did that go?
Well, I don't think I was actually ever thinking about it as a job until I was in college. So my parents, me being a kid, I was just oh, I'm not gonna, maybe you have a good relationship with your parents. I have a great relationship with my parents, but I'm just oh, I'm not gonna tell them I want to be this when I grow up. And I was just oh, You know, I don't think they would understand if I was like, I want to like draw something like Steven Universe. They don't even know what a Steven Universe is, so like, what, I don't know if they would understand that. Like, but because like my whole thing was just like I like went through school up to 8th grade, and then I went into college as a computer science and engineering major.
Oh,
So
interesting. Yeah.
yeah, so like I wanted to like code. Honestly, like this was like so like thoughtless, but like I was just like yeah, like I like video games and like computers. Like I think I would like to do this. And like I knew nothing about it, but I was like, I can learn how to like do this. So I would like learn how to code or something like that. So that's what I went into college for. And I, went to college at UConn. And then so basically from that point on, my goal was like, I'm just gonna get like a job in this field. But I would still be doing like art on the side and like appreciating it and like doing boards in my free time. But I don't even think I like did my first board till I was like 18 or something, like close.
That's
Like
still pretty young. 18, I feel like,
Mhm.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It feels so. That's really interesting. Were you like inspired by any video games, or were you just like, oh, that sounds like a real job, so I'll do that?
I was like, wow. Well, part of me was like, like, like this very like capitalistic view. I'm like, I gotta make money in life. I need some high paying job, like computers or something. So I was like, yeah, I'll do that. Sure, I'll try and do that. Sure, why not? And well, part of it was like, because I got like a full scholarship for like the engineering school at the University of Connecticut. So I was like, well, like, and of course, I feel like my mom would slap me across the head and be like, "You'd be stupid not to take that." So I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll do that. Like, yeah, why not?" So
How did you get from going to school from this other thing to realizing that, like, because you had your childhood dream, and a lot of the times, like, we either feel like we need to grow out of that or whatever. Like, what made you realize that, like, oh, this other career is actually realistically possible for me? Like, how did you switch?
well, I feel like it was like a mixture of like, again, like just exposing myself online to like kind of like looking into like these, you know, like growing online, and then like finding these social media accounts of like these people who actually like work in the industry, and just kind of like observing them, like, oh, these are real people who do this as like a living, and I'm like, like that's what I want to do. And then also like meeting friends who are like actually in the industry, and like kind of like get it from like their perspective. And I guess like uh I still like basically like once I turned like 18, and I was like, okay, I can like, I guess, like I feel like I'm old enough, and like I that's when I like started doing boards in like my free time. And of course, like I was applying to like everything, like whether it was like Cartoon Network internships or like board tests for all these different shows. And I think it was basically like a little over 2 years of just like kind of like, oh, I kept applying, nothing came out of it, but like, oh, that's okay, that's like on the side while I'm doing school. And so like it was still like something on the back burner, but like I was still like trying really hard at it for like a little over 2 years straight. And then
That's really admirable, honestly. Like you were in school, but you're like, okay, I'm still going to treat this like as a consistent like side task that I'm, because I feel like it's really interesting that you mentioned that, because I do feel like getting into animation, you need a lot of drive, and you had the drive to do that on the side of like school, which is a lot.
yeah,
School
like
is already a lot.
and let me tell you, it was like on top of like I feel like I could have done a lot more or like I could have done a lot more art stuff if I went to like art school, but like I, you know, engineering homework and coding homework is torture. So I had like,
really?
You
did not like it?
Looking back at it now, I'm like, I loved the campus, I loved the dining hall, I loved my friends. And then I think about the actual school, and I'm like, oh my god, like why I was like that at some point. Like nothing wrong against like engineering majors. I was an engineering major once, so I can't say anything, but I'm like, oh god, I can't imagine, like, just thinking about like how that could have been me. I don't know. That sounds like really mean, but like me personally, like I'm like, oh geez, I'm glad it turned out like this. Like I was able to get a job boarding. I don't know.
Well,
No,
speaking of that, like how did you get your first like art job or your first boarding job? Like how that seems so like such a distant thing from the story that you're telling. Like you were doing and applying for
it
stuff recreationally.
it really was like it like literally just sort of like came out of nowhere, but it was like so like I don't know, you know, based on like I never really asked, but like this was like like going into junior year of high school. This was like 2020, and like, you know, pandemic started, whatever. And over the summer, I like finally finished my like first, I guess, like real board. Like it was like, you know, it looked like real. Like the other things were just kind of like I just took like random clips from cartoons and just like did like little 20-minute funny animatics of like my characters saying silly things, but it's not really like my own thing that like I created myself. So but then I made my first real board, and I put that up, and I like made a portfolio finally, and I put that up with like a bunch of other stuff. And then that was maybe like end of August, like going right into the start of like my first semester. And also I was very into Owl House, like, because Steven Universe Future ended, and then I went right into Owl House as my like my next social, well, not social, but like my first thing to like leech onto and devote all my time to obsessing over. So and I like obsessed over that, and I drew like a lot of Owl House fan art, and then like life was just like normal, like doing things on the side. And it was like about like midterms in our first semester, and literally like out of nowhere, maybe like a week prior, I like posted some like, I don't know if this was related at all, but like I posted some like Ida fan art or whatever, and I saw like Dana Terrace liked it, and I'm like, oh my god, like the Dana Terrace like liked my fan art. And I was like, of course, like, you know, for like an hour straight, I was like, oh my god, like she saw my work, like I'm like freaking out, like, oh my god, like that's so cool, like
she and her, me and her exist in the same reality. This can't
be. She's practically my best friend now, so like I you know, like everyone's step aside. And I was like, okay, like we didn't like interact. It literally just like was a notification that like she liked it. So I was like, okay, cool. So then like I passed on, whatever, and then I remember it so vividly. We were like studying for our, I don't even remember what class. It was a very hard math based class, and it was like 11 o'clock at night, and I was studying with like a bunch of other friends in like a study room, and then I get like a DM from Dana, and I was like, and at first I was like, I just saw a notification. I was like, what's with like this Dana impersonator in my DMs? This is crazy. I was like, yeah, sure, Dana, if that even is you. But then I looked into it closer and I saw like the verified symbol, and I was like, oh my god. And then I like read it, and it was like, hey, like, you know, me and like some of the other people on the crew like saw your work recently, and we're like have an opening for a board artist on the second half of season 2, and I didn't even read the rest of it. I was like freaking out, but then I was like, like, and I just like screamed in the middle of our study session. All my friends looked at me and were like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, and I'm like, I can't talk right now. And I ran to the bathroom and like started screaming in the bathroom. And I was like, oh my god, like, not to disturb anyone. And then, you know, whatever. And then I like read it further, and you know, she was like, if you wanted to like have an interview with us, because like we really like your work, like let us know, we can like set that up and see if you're like you're right fit for the show, like get to know you, you know, like test whatever. And I'm like, oh my god, cool. And then like I was still freaking out, and like I didn't have the capacity to answer for like 30 minutes. And then I get another DM from her unprompted, and she's like, "Oh my god, like I didn't know you were in college still. Like you don't have to like do this if you don't like. You don't feel any stressful. Like I know you're still in college, so you don't have to do it." And I was just like immediately quick, and I was like, "No, like no, I'm I'll take an interview. Like don't even worry about it. Like I'll do it. Like I will drop out right now." I ended up dropping out, but like I'll do it right now. And she was like, "Okay, cool." Like, and of course she was like, "Don't drop out because like this means, nothing is confirmed. Like you're literally just interviewing." And I knew that. I was like, "Okay, cool, whatever." Like, and so I was like, "Okay." And then like, of course, midterms the next day, and I was like, "This is like the worst time." Like literally right before the night before midterms, and I like have this on my head. Like, oh my god! Like, I could not sleep. I like stayed up till like 4 a.m. and then I went to sleep, and then I woke up and I was like, okay, I guess I'll take this test. It might not mean nothing because I might just drop out. Like, I was like being way too like big in the head, and I was like, whatever. But then like a week went by. I ended up interviewing, and then like another week went by, and I was just kind of waiting, but like it was so painful just like doing my work, and I'm like, this thing is brewing in the background that may or may not happen, and I'm like, oh my god, like I cannot focus on work right now. Like doing all this math and coding and junk, like what and then like long story short, I ended up did get a job offer from Disney, and of course I accepted it, and I accepted it before like doing anything else, and then I was like, okay, I guess I have a job. And then I was like, okay, I guess I gotta drop out now. Like, I like literally within the day, I just went straight to like the like admissions or deans, whatever, and I was like, hey, I'm dropping out. I gotta go. So I was like, yeah. So then I dropped out. I moved back home. Brought like all my stuff. I busted out like my Cintiq. I got like a link to all like the animatics for the episodes to like catch up on, because this was like almost a season's worth of like, or half a season's worth of like episodes, and I'm like, and it was literally like the Sunday before the Monday of which I would start. And like literally that Sunday night, I had to cram in like half a season's worth of content. And as a fan who was like really crazy with Owl House, like I just watched like 10 new episodes in a row, and I was like, oh my god, like, like who's Hunter? What's this V character doing? Like what's all this? Like what's going on? And I was like freaking out, and I'm like, okay.
Just speed running hyper fandom.
I literally
just like
like these episodes would have came out like over like the course of like 3 or 4 months, and I just watched it all in one night in one sitting, and I'm like,
it's
wow.
like Neo in that room where he downloads Kung Fu in his mind, and you're like, like
I was like, oh my god, it was like so overwhelming. But I was like, okay, and then I went to sleep, and I woke up, and then like I got introduced to like my director Amelia and my board partners, Kat and Haley. And we all get to know each other, and we had the script handout. And of course, like I was not a professional, so I was like, okay, script handout. That sounds really professional. Like I was like, cool. I can do that. That sounds corporate, a script handout. Yeah. Like I can do that.
Practicing how to hold your hand out in the right way to accept the script. Like, no, that would look stupid if I held my hand out. Like, oh, damn it, I held my hand out upside down. What if I drop the paper? Oh, I'm gonna look like such an idiot.
Like literally, but to keep in mind, I was also in Connecticut this whole time. The whole time I was on Owl House, I was remote in Connecticut, so I like had to do this over. Everything was over Zoom, basically, and and I'm good. This was like literally me coming off of like a STEM major, where like anything job related, like I had to be very professional, and I had to like wear a suit, semi formal to everything, and be like, yes sir, thank you sir, I will file those taxes. I don't know, so I'm thinking of something like very adult to say or something. And then I got there, and the handout was just like, yeah, so Hunter, lol, like he's so quirky. Like we're gonna have an episode about him. And I'm like, oh my god, yes. Like it was very like it very much put me at ease, like, okay, like this is not, like I had so much fun with it, and like everyone on the team was like so nice and so inviting, and I'm like, oh my god, that's like so thank god. Like I was like so scared, and I was like 20 at the time. This is like over 3 years ago, and I'm like, geez, like I'm just so glad that everyone was so nice. And then I just went on till the show ended. I guess.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
I think that's so crazy though that like you managed to kind of like do it all on your own, like because you didn't really like you didn't go to art school, did you? But you did have community on that you found online, right? Like how often would you say you were posting art online leading up to that interview?
I feel like a lot more than I'm posting now. But I feel like it was mostly all just like Steven Universe and fan art of just like cartoons that were on, as long as like some, characters of my own. But I would say like, and it's crazy to think now because I barely like post like once a week, let alone like once a month or something. But like it was probably like one or two like every day. Like I don't know how I did it.
Wow.
I don't know. Who was I back then? Who was she? Like
It sounds like maybe not programming a whole lot. Like maybe not programming as much as you should have been.
Listen. There was a loop around because most of those drawings were from the margins of my homework, and like I would just like take a picture of. And it was funny because I would like take a picture of my homework or like the drawing, and then in like the bottom left corner you could see like some equation. I'm like, don't worry about that. Just focus on the drawings, everybody. Like that. I know this.
Oh, that's my drawing math. That's how I think about drawings. I just do equations in my head and all the vertexes, and then I put them all together and I calculate my drawing.
Like don't exactly. It helps me in the process. Don't worry about it. Like. Oh my god! I just look down and there's like a gallery in front of me. When did this happen? Oh my god.
Oh my god. That's so fun. So like, yeah, I think the reason why I asked this question is that I feel like a lot of guests that we've had on the podcast who eventually got noticed online, for example, like Louis Zong that we had very, very early on the podcast, we're posting every day. So for Louis, it was back in Tumblr, but for you, Mike, it was more on Twitter, I guess. Would you say it was more Twitter?
It was like, I think it was like I started in Tumblr and then eventually like just moved to Twitter because I used to be crazy on Tumblr, but I think I sort of like switched to Twitter once Steven Universe like ended, and I just kind of like migrated because I was like, oh well, Tumblr was definitely like I was on there for Steven Universe, and then when it kind of ended, I was like, oh cool, Twitter's okay, I guess. Yeah.
So is your main advice to do fan art and quit your school?
No, that's not.
Do fan art, quit your
Don't
school.
twist my words. No, I would say the first part, just put all your fan art on there, because again, I don't know like what the people on Owl House who like wanted to reach out to me. I'm not sure if it was Dana specifically or she just like reached out to me as like the messenger, because I know she was supposed to also. Let me just say this and a point to like the other, but like and a point to like the story before. Dana DMing me on Twitter, that is like not something that happens, but her email was down, so usually it like would be through a more official means. That I'm not like saying like you'll get a job by some creator just DMing you on a social media platform. Like
it happens.
It would have been through
it does.
Well, it would have been through email. That's what I meant to say. Yeah. But
I mean, for the official offer, yes, but I feel like it's not uncommon for creators to reach out to artists through DMs on like Instagram or like social media. I don't know. I feel like for example, for me, my story real fast was like how I got the job on Loud House was because I posted on Facebook at the time, and the creator of Loud House was like, oh, like I was taking a test for We Bare Bears, and he was like, oh, I'm jealous. And I was like, well, send me a test for your show.
Yeah,
Like,
So
and
blatant.
then I got a test for Loud House and I
Oh, yeah.
did, and I got it. So it like
Hell
it
yeah.
happens. It happens on social media. It's like but I think that's I don't think that's too. It's interesting that like what I love about your story, Mike, is that you posted fan art a lot, and I think it's really important to let people know. I think people are starting to know now, but like it's okay to do fan art and it's okay to post it, because I feel like a lot of art schools are like, don't do fan art. And I feel like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like
It's almost like sometimes you're practicing doing what in this animation industry is called either a design or a storyboard test. You're like practicing to do that almost. And also it has good engagement with fans, but like it's like you're anybody who's passing by it is sort of getting subtle hints and proof that you if you were on that show, you could draw like that. And and in animation, that's a good thing. Maybe in illustration or in some other
yes.
industry, maybe that's frowned upon, but in animation, being able to adapt to a style is really important.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
hmm Especially a style like Owl House that's like it's a pretty it's a pretty difficult style to draw, because it's a little realistic, but it's also a little cartoony. It's kind of in that kind of like spot where it's like, you know, it's different from the other styles that are around. I feel like Steven Universe, like the shapes were a little bit easier to
Yeah.
grasp because it was a little bit more broken down in terms of design, but Owl House felt like it was a little bit more anatomical, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That was definitely like especially like on my first episode, just like trying to get the style, and it was like a lot of like trial and error. Um
Oh yeah.
I just like one of the first memories I have like after joining the show was just like uh one, the style, and then another one was like um I just remember like pitching the scene with like Hunter where he gets like his cape ripped off of him, and you know, I was still learning the style, and it was like literally the first sequence I've like ever pitched or like roughed or anything, and I just kind of like had him spin cartoonishly like in a tornado, like whoop, 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 like turn around,
Mhm.
and I just in the pitch, Dana was just like, yeah, we don't do that on this show, like we don't. We don't do like a cartoonish like kind of spin around, and I'm like, oh okay, like I was like, oh stupid me, like I was like, okay, I got this.
Tasmanian
So
devil. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
literally
I
what
mean,
I did, and I was like, look,
I feel like that. Like, have you found um, any workarounds to that? Because it is a magic world. Like, I could imagine that if magic's involved, you might be able to get away with a little bit more of a like loose kind of cartoony thing.
oh yeah, there's definitely like instances of like funny cartoony hijinks, but like in that moment, it was just like looking
Sure.
back and now, it was like such a serious moment of like Darius confronting Hunter, and then he just
And
like
he's like, what?
he's like
Like Tasmanian
like
deviling. Yeah.
I feel like
God.
it's really interesting that you point that out, because I feel like sometimes when we talk about the style of a show, it can get confused with the drawing style. But
Mm.
there's like two there's like the style that we actually can see with our eyes, which are like the lines, the colors, the way things look. And then there's the style that's more like the tone. And like you said, like cartoony is a specific tone. That's a style for, like, for example, Looney Tunes. But then like Owl House had its own tone, which is more realistic and grounded. Would you say is like fair to say?
Yeah, like grounded, like actiony or and stuff like that, for sure.
It seems like almost like more of the rules of like it's like instead of American cartoons, it's closer to the rules of maybe like anime as far as like movement goes.
Yeah, I would definitely say that. I know, uh, like a lot of people on the show are definitely like anime influenced, versus me who's like Steven Universe influenced. So I was like, definitely definitely learning. Also, that's a really cute Bowser. He's so cute. Oh my god. Is that you, V?
Yeah, I drew this Bowser.
Wait, can I draw a Luigi next to him? Because I know
Yes.
Bowluigi
Thank
was...
you. It's like I was gonna draw Luigi, but I am so glad you're gonna draw him.
Oh, I'm gonna I gotta look up Luigi because I don't want to draw a fake Luigi.
He's hard to draw. They're surprisingly hard to draw. I actually behind the scene, everybody listening. Now that my computer is really good, when I started Creative Block, my computer was really, really bad and it would turn off halfway through an interview. Now I have a really good computer, so I can have Google Images pulled up with references. So I'm cheating a little bit.
Snap.
I had an ex that said that her first crush was Bowser, and that's why she thought I was cute. It's because I reminded her of Bowser.
I felt really bad during WonderCon because somebody came up to my table and he was wearing the like the choker with the spikes and also like the wristbands with the spikes.
Yeah.
And his hair was dyed red. Really tall, really big guy.
Is he a wizard?
And then everybody was like, you know, cosplaying and stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, are you Bowser? And he was like, no, I just look like it. And I was like,
oh my gosh.
I was like, so I mean, it's a compliment. He's like, it's okay. Everybody tells me I look like Bowser.
Even without the costume.
Yeah, I don't know.
You just look like that.
Because he was, you know, he was wearing. He was wearing the choker and the wristband. So I was like, okay. And he dyed his hair red as well. So I was like,
that's understandable.
Anyway.
Sorry, I derailed things with my personal Bowser anecdote.
No,
I think
that
this is great. I think this is great. I love this story because you know what's interesting? I've noticed we've had a couple of guests on the podcast who went to engineering school. Like Ben Juno was a computer science before.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And Winton Redmond also was computer science before he started in animation. So I think it's really interesting. I think it's really cool to see people who like pursue a different major and manage to like still get in the industry because, you know, you were posting every day, you're posting fan art. And I remember you being very active online. And I remember you like interacting with people in the industry. And I thought it was kind of like, and that's kind of how I found out about you as well. It's like you did fan art of like the Animal Crossing fan comic that I was posting at the time, and I was like, that's really cool. I love his art. His art is really good. And I guess my question would be, how did you approach that? Like for you, from your point of view, what was it like interacting with people in the industry online?
I guess like they were just like kind of, I mean, it wasn't like, you know, like I sort of viewed them as, I mean, there were parts where like I was like oh wow, that's like so cool that like you worked on these cartoons like that I've watched and like I've looked up to, and like that's so cool.
Call out your biggest Twitter beefs now.
Like, but I would say like they were mostly just like you know, like mutuals. Like it's just sort of like I'm like, maybe I still am, but like I'm just like intimidated. I'm like, and I shouldn't be, and you shouldn't be, but it's like, because they're just like people. But I was like, oh my god, like they're so cool. Like a little goober, a goober like me could never interact with them. Like, but I was just sort of like, mostly on Twitter. Like my close friends were just like my friends that I've like known. But it's like, gosh, like it was just cool. Like anytime anyone from the industry would just like interact with one of my tweets, I'd be like, like I just like, that's so cool. Like you're so cool. Like I don't know.
That's really interesting. Did you ever like reply to industry people's tweets, or were you just mostly just kind of like hoping that senpai would notice you?
Like I would like hopefully not annoy them, but I would just think, a casual reply if something interests me or like I have something to say, you know. But I wasn't like in their DMs like, "Hi, want to be friends?"
Yes.
Hi, hi.
Yeah.
Like I tried to keep it cool, keep it chill.
Keep it chill.
Jesus Christ, that hunter.
No, I think
So,
this is great because I think what you did that was great. Also, and I think that sort of played a role in like helping you like land a gig. Is that like that's a way to network, right? I think that's a way of like very casually networking with industry professionals, and I think that's a really great example of like a successful
networking successful.
Well,
networking success.
I would say yes. It was like very casual because I like would never like just interact with someone on like with the devious like intent like I'm only using you for connections, like so something like that. Like
right.
I mean, these are people that someday you want to be friends with, so you gotta play your cards carefully.
Yeah, it's like very. If anything, like I would never like I didn't view it as that, but if it like came out, like it evolved into like, oh, like yeah, like I could pass you on as a reference. I'd be like, okay, cool. And I'd be like, okay, finally, your use is done. Goodbye forever. Like, thank you. Like, and just like moved on. That's like no, that's terrible. But don't do that. But
no, that's why I was asking those questions. I was like, I think it's cool that you're just like replying every now and then, and like I think that's like a really good like example, right? And so you've worked on Owl House.
Yeah.
Yes. How was it for you working? Like, did you feel like your skills kind of got better as time went on? How did you learn on the show? How was kind of that whole experience of like learning? And do you finally feel like now I'm a real born artist? You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah, trust me, there was so much imposter syndrome. Like it was, I was like, oh my god, like it'd go like, I'd do my work, then like maybe like once a day in the back of my mind I'd be like, I shouldn't be here. I'm the worst. Like I don't deserve to be here or something like that. And I'd be like, of course, that's just imposter syndrome. What are you gonna do? It's just a thought in your head. You just gotta like overlook it. But it both like I think technically and like artistically, I would like to think I've improved since like the beginning, because I had no idea how Storyboard Pro worked, and I thank my like amazing director Amelia for being very patient with me and like teaching me the ropes of like, because I did not even know like what a matte layer was the first week I was on. So it was very bad. Like she taught me like how to good setups for like layers and naming layers and stuff like that. So she was like so helpful. Like she taught me so much like just about the technical side, and of course like on the artistic side she like good ways to do thumbs, like be just very concise and like brief, and how just like get your idea across and then move on to like the nitty gritty and stuff like that. And a funny thing was like when I first did cleans, I thought it had to be like just like the show, because
interesting.
I know this now, but like when you're doing boards, you just have to get like the idea across. Like say if you're doing like a body and like a person has like a very complicated outfit or something, you do not need to draw the outfit. But I was drawing the outfit because this is like the first thing I ever did, so I was like, okay, cool. And then when I did like Amity, I just remember I like drew every single one of her fingernails individually. And then like I was going through all that. I'm like, okay, cool. And like I spent like a whole day just like not a whole day, but like maybe 1 or 2 hours just like going through every panel, like fingernail, fingernail, fingernail. I just thinking about it is like terrible. It makes me cringe. And then when I pitched it, and Dana was like, "You can leave out the fingernails. I think the overseas will get that their fingernails are supposed to be there." And I'm like, okay, like
What if the overseas people don't have fingernails? I don't know other cultures.
I felt so like stupid. I was like, but of course, like I learned from it. I was like, okay. And then I feel like, just every episode I moved, like every episode I moved on to, like this episode to this episode. I felt like I felt like more confident every time I would start a new episode. Like, okay, like I know how to do this. I know what I did wrong the last episode, and now what I got to do right. And I think by the time I got to like season 3, I was like, okay, I'm a real board artist. Like I can do this now. So, but yeah, I think that's that answered the question. I don't know.
No, I think that's great. Because the reason why I asked that was because I feel like every artist has imposter syndrome, and I feel especially for someone like you who didn't go to art school, you must have felt it like way more than people who went to art school.
Yeah. God.
But I mean, this is really good stuff for people that are worried about getting their first art job, to hear how much
Yes.
you were able to learn on the job. And
Yes.
like even outside of like the technical like program stuff, like can you think of I don't know, like an important lesson or tip that you got like early on from someone who is teaching you sort of how to think about storyboards or how to storyboard better?
Um, Again, I think everything I learned was literally from my amazing director Amelia. I basically like mooched off of her like every like the way she did everything. I was like, she seems like she knows what she's doing. All her work is so good. I'm just gonna do what she does. So I think like, and of course like everyone on Owl,
Just having a role model, yeah.
and of course like everyone on Owl House too, because like when I was like trying to figure out like, oh, like how to draw this character or this character, I'd like go look at animatics and see how like other people on the show would draw these characters, so then I could just sort of like, figure that out. Like shorthands for characters and shorthands for this and that. So I think it's like, just like everyone sort of like, at least me, I just sort of like learned from a little bit of things from each person on the crew. But especially my director. So
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like that's honestly, I relate to that. I feel like that's how I learned a lot also for boards, is like having a really great leader that is there to like teach you. And like you said, also like I feel like looking at other artists' boards is like super useful,
yeah,
because then you get to you get to learn more from like, and also you get to kind of like have an idea of the style of the show overall, so it's not just your team, it's also like the other teams.
yeah.
That's a great answer. And so after Owl House, what happened?
Well then I cried. I was like, no, the Owl House. Like I just wanted like, I don't know, a million more seasons. But and after that, I rolled on to another show, which was Monsters at Work, and I worked on season 2 of that, and I had actually watched it while I was working on Owl House, and I was like, God, this is such a cool show. Like the CG is so cool for like basically like a TV level. And then little did I know, like 2 months later, I'd get like an offer, and I'm like, cool, like let's go.
Wow.
But that was like so much fun, and it was really different because it was like a CG show, so I had like a whole new can of worms to open on how to board, and that was just something else.
What were the main differences?
In a way, uh, you could be looser, I suppose, in the way you draw characters, because it is going to be a CG model at the end.
Mm-hmm.
But in a way, you also have to know like your limitations, since like 3D environments and like what angles can realistically be achieved in like a 3D space, and like how cartoonishly can these expressions be, because they are like existing models. So um nobody ever yelled at me, so I'm assuming I did okay.
I like that. That's your bar.
I'm like, yeah, nobody ever told me I wasn't doing it right, so I think, and this is me like a year after I've already been off the show, so I'm like, well, too late now, something happened. I don't know.
Oh man, that's great. What are you working on now?
I can't say the specific things, but I am working on the multi-platform crew at Disney TVA, which just sort of deals with like all the the chibi tales and the chibi verse
Mm,
and the little shorts and little variety specials and stuff like that.
that's great. I feel like Disney's pretty good as like at retaining their talent, so that's really great.
Yeah, I'm just like, I love everyone at Disney. It's like, and especially like because some people I worked on Owl House I still see, and then the people I worked on Monsters, like a lot of people who worked on Monsters rolled onto the same project as me. So it's like I still have
Mhm.
these people I'm close with, and it's like, oh my god, I know people, and they're my friends. Like, oh thank God, it's like not going into like some new territory every time I roll off, and it's like like people I know. So it's like I the Disney people, I guess.
So friends that you've made along the way have played a big part in you uh, getting other jobs after show's end.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. Yeah, and like
Right.
also like the recruiting people also help a lot too, because those are the ones getting like looking out for jobs for me and helping me along the way.
Oh, that's great. I don't know if you guys want to kind of like pepper in some questions from listeners because we have a million questions.
Sure, I mean, sure,
Yeah,
yeah,
I saw. I
yeah.
was like scared.
You're scared.
I was like,
That's,
there's so many.
that's
And
so funny. We'll
uh,
we'll ask for sure the questions from our patrons, and we'll get to as many questions as we can from Twitter and Instagram. But I think I don't know. I just really like to hear that, um, you were noticed online because I feel like that's a huge thing, and I feel that's still the case. It's still the case now that people get noticed online. Um,
mhm.
so from our patron Katie, what practice or exercise do you think helped you land your first gig and finish your project to post online? Do you have any tips for students like yourself who are in school and trying to work on portfolio projects? How did you balance it?
I would just say the first part would be just putting yourself out there and just sort of
Mhm.
uh at least me like I just sort of like latched on to a fandom and just kind of like followed the trends of the fandom and just posted art, and you know uh especially Steven Universe was like really popular, so it was like, oh, if you're drawing Steven Universe at that time, it's like that's probably gonna get out there because people like Steven Universe.
Mhm.
Of course, don't do it like what you're drawing. Don't just do it to, like, I need to draw this so I can get like be famous or something. Like, like draw what you want. Like draw something you actually care about.
Mhm.
Uh, and then I think just getting through like working on your portfolio and your drawings in your meantime during school, I would just say is just your drive, like you said, just being able to have the energy to do it. And sometimes you don't have the energy, and like sometimes you like have a like art block or something like that, but like still overall just like being able to you know, why am I drawing Willow with a human ear? Anyway, that's not right.
You're gonna get called out. You're gonna get roasted.
Willow becomes a human season 4. Like, but nah, I think yeah, like I would just say draw what you like and put it out there. Like that's basically what I did. Like especially the boards I did. I would, you know, it's stuff I wanted to do. Definitely don't look at your art as like a means to get somewhere. Just like do something you like, and if it also happens to get you somewhere, cool. But like, you know, I think that's what I would say.
I think that's very true. I think that's something that I think it's great that you say that, because I feel like for me, when I was in college, I felt like I couldn't draw fan art. I couldn't draw the stuff I wanted to draw. I was so stuck in like a people pleasing kind of attitude of like, oh, this is what the school expects me to draw. Or like I had a weird idea what the industry expected to see from me. But I think it's great that you were just like indulging in fan art that you loved, because I do feel like that really works in a positive way. And I think it's a great advice to tell like students out there, just draw the stuff that you love drawing, because people will see that you're excited about drawing it.
Like, yeah, someone can tell whether you're liking what you draw or whether it's just like produced out of like, you know, boredom or something. Like, you know, they can definitely tell. Now, like, not to cause stress in you, like, will they be able to tell? Like, if you draw it for fun, like you can tell like someone's having fun with a drawing if you look at it. I think maybe. I don't know. I don't read minds, so. Also, I'm so sorry. Like, I have not drawn anything. I'm just like in awe of all these amazing drawings. And I'm just like, oh, I'll just draw a little head up here.
You're fine. You're fine.
You're supposed to do all the talking, so it's okay if you don't do a lot.
You know, you said it before we started too. You were like, drawing and talking is hard, and I'm like, I probably got it. And then I'm just like, I've drawn maybe like 1.5 things. Like it really is. I can't concentrate.
we have a lot more practice at drawing and talking than probably a lot of people do. So it's totally.
And I applaud you because that is talent.
Oh,
thank you.
You're so sweet. I think these were great answers. I think from our patron Fez Hoof. So, since you were brought on for the Owl House during production of season 2, what was the experience like with the groundwork already having been laid and the story beginning to speed up its pace to try to get all the heavy hitting beats to fit into the show's run? So I guess like a shorter version of that question would be like, what was it like kind of like coming into a show that's already like running, kind of like full speed almost?
I think it definitely helped that I was like a fan of it, so I definitely was like maybe, at least in my case, like obsessively attached to these characters that I've like known as a fan. But then like the new stuff, like when I had to binge like half of season 2, like the first half, it was just like kind of catching up, like in digesting it definitely, and then at least you know, working on the episodes I did work on like right in the middle, because I like jumped right into Any Sport in a Storm, and of course like the first thing I boarded was like Hunter, and I don't know anything about Hunter because he's a new character, and then there's this guy named Darius, and who may or may not be like a father figure, and I'm just like but of course like I think if you're jumping into a show, like I would hope they would fill you in on what happens next and what their intentions are and what they're like setting up. So that's like what, you know, Dana and the crew and my director, like, you know, filled me in, like, this is where the story would go. Maybe these are like some intentions to like sprinkle in because this is like what we're working towards. So I think I got. Oh, sorry.
No. Go finish what you were saying. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say I like, because literally the first thing I ever boarded was Hunter, and I think I got Hunter at least correct as this character because it's like a new character. But yeah, I think that hopefully that answers it. Like, just it was crazy. I had a lot of catching up to do. So
I was curious, just like, what was the first time that you boarded something for Owl House, like as a fan of the show, where you felt like, I think I made an Owl House scene, like like as opposed to like this is me doing fan art of Owl House. Like, what was the first time where you were like, this feels like it fits in the show. This feels like I'm on the show and it works. Did that never happen?
I know that. I love the first episode I worked on. I just feel like looking back at it, I'm like, oh, like I wish I could have done so many things different. Like, it's like I wish I would have made Lumity cuter and Hunter more angsty and like all that stuff. And I was like, but then I moved on. But I think like the first thing where I was like, okay, yeah, like this is like an Owl House thing. It was probably like the end of Hollow Mind with like Hunter like running out and you know he's traumatized or something, like whatever. And I was like, just like working on that episode because it's like something as a fan I would never expect to happen because it was such like a dark, scary episode. So then when I like helped on a dark, scary episode, I was like, okay, like this is the show. Like this is nothing my fan mind could ever comprehend. Like I would never think of this as a fan, like this of like this Bellows killing like his brother, anything like that. Or, like, why am I part of me was just like, did Bellows kill his brother? Was that revealed? But I'm like, we're in freaking season 3, obviously. Like, no, that's not a spoiler. Like,
I was
but,
I was gonna say to appease your old regretful self, looking back at the your first episodes, can we see who can draw Lumity the cutest? Like if you were to make the cutest possible version of Lumity that that you're wishing for, like I don't know whether it's like making him look like a baby or what, but
Well,
like what do you even mean cuter Lumity?
Well, like because okay, so I also thank God to the revisionists because Lumity is so much cuter than what I boarded because I like had them because I knew about the Lumity kiss. Or not the Lumity kiss, like the Lumity, they got together, and I when I digested all the information, but I was like scared. I was like, they're together, but like, and I like, and the scene where like they're sitting in front of the bookshop and they're like sitting together in the final episode. Whoever did the revisions like kind of had them pressed up against each other, like leaning on their shoulder. But then me and my boards, I had them sitting like 2 feet apart, like not touching, 5 feet apart because they're not gay. Like I was like, I should have done it cuter, like and stuff like that. Or, like,
so you don't mean
moments.
Physically cuter? You don't mean like I drew her ugly and all the shit. Like
no, like very gay moments. You know what I mean? Like they are, they're little cute little scrunklies or whatever. But I'm talking about like I could have amped up that game.
I'm gonna still draw
so
her like a
more.
baby right now.
Okay, I will do that too.
Misunderstanding.
Owl House reboots is like the Owl House babies or something.
Babies always work. Babies every show that works. This is a super tangent, but when I was on Thundercats Roar, I pleaded for a Fountain of Youth episode where all the Thundercats would like fall into Fountain of Youth and all turn out to be babies. I was not on the show long enough to see that happen.
No.
I think there's a baby episode, but I wasn't on the show when that happened.
No,
but back to questions. I really like this question from @capitalcorgi 351 on Twitter. What is your favorite and or least favorite part of the storyboarding drawing process?
I think my favorite is just like and this of course depends on like what show you're on, but I just love, for Owl House at least, it was like wow, I'm drawing these characters and like I can they're just draw them as cute as I want to, because like I have the power. Someone gave me the power to draw these characters. I guess it's like official. Uh, and like stuff with like monsters as well. It's like, you know, it's just I I just like drawing. Like it's fun to draw. So I think the all the productions I've been on so far, I've just loved the characters. So I think my favorite part is just drawing these characters. Like I love Tyler and Val and Luce and Amity and Hunter and Willow and Gus and everybody. And then if I had to choose like a least favorite, I would probably say just cleaning up, like just making it look presentable. I guess, like, because say if you like when you pitch your roughs and they go through fine, cleaning it up is just it's you're still putting in the effort to make it have that sort of like oomph with the expressions and their actions and all that, but it sort of maybe sometimes feels like just sort of like, oh, busy work, you're just making it look nicer.
Yeah, you're a little bit like less creatively involved.
But I don't.
It's just yeah.
But I don't
I
hate it. It's just sometimes a bit like of a slog or something. I don't hate it. I love it. But if I had to pick my least favorite, not that would probably be it.
Yeah, there's producers that listen to this podcast that just find out whether you actually hate your job, and they're like, all right, they're out of here. Good thing I listened.
This is all a setup. Like you've wasted like an hour. Finally, we get to the true reason behind this podcast.
The dark secrets of Mike. The cleanup. It's funny because I feel like on some shows that I've worked on, cleanup was kind of nice because it was the moment when I could turn off my brain and just watch a bunch of like really horrible shows.
Yeah, yeah, it's like you do sort of turn off your brain, but it's just like there's not much going on in my brain, so it's just like
do you mean normally or during that?
Well, both.
You gotta be kinder to yourself, Mike. Let's see.
I don't. This is terrifying. I can't draw cute things. What in the Amity ear is going on up there?
Yeah, I was like, oh, sometimes little babies with big ears is cute.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, this is a really interesting question from @TakeWack. If you were to make Planet Forever an actual show, where and who would you pitch it to?
Oh, that's also like the producers are like, we got him now. Like we'll find out what he says. I don't know. Like, wait, what was the second part after like, where would I pitch it? Is that what?
Where and who? I mean, technically, because you're at Disney, I think you have to pitch to Disney first, right? I think that's how it works. But like, if Disney, I how does that work? I feel like if Disney turned it down,
Well, I feel like I feel like since I'm at Disney, I would love to pitch it to Disney, whether or not it goes somewhere. But then, of course, like there's also like the dream kid inside of me who watched Steven Universe and OKKO, and I'm like, oh, that'd be so cool if it was like a Cartoon Network show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, really, just who knows, like what could happen down the line. It's just like, I guess whatever's most feasible. if I ever were, I don't even have like a pitch Bible or anything. It's just like little ideas in my head and some drawings. So it's not like not anytime soon. Don't you worry.
Are you ever considering pitching it at Disney though? Like,
I would love to if someone was like, hey, we're looking for someone to pitch ideas, I'd be like, bet, I'd whip up a pitch Bible and be like, here you go. But that's like, very hypothetical. Like, if that ever happened, absolutely, I would definitely pitch to Disney. But right now, I'm just, it's not like I'm dying to make a pitch Bible like right this second,
Taking it one day at a time.
Yeah.
I got self-conscious and I made the ear smaller.
No! Well, this will be on YouTube, so someone can... That'll be... Unless the editor cuts it out. Like, the ears never existed. I don't know what you're talking about. Redacted.
Yeah, I'll just start making visual, like, please mask the ear out, Clem. Just mask physical parts of the canvas out. Thank you.
Oh my god, her job becomes like a million times harder. Just to
like there's just like a black bar over the area the whole time. It's like fixed.
Funny. From @Strider_Inc. What is the coolest part about working in the industry?
I would say just the fact that I helped make a cartoon. It's like I just think that's cool. Like, especially like a show like Owl House, where I think it's really popular among like fans and people online, and it's like, oh yeah, like I helped on that. Like I had a part in that. It's just really cool. And of course, like I said before, just I do like drawing, contrary to popular belief, but I do like this job. So it is fun. I really like it. So
are there any because you started off doing fan art of the show, are there any like little like bucket list things that you wanted as a fan that you found a way to like bring into the episode subtly or something?
No, but I mean, I'm such a crack shipper, so like when Any Sport in a Storm, we were working on that, and I feel like at that point I was still a fan because it was like my first episode, but like when I saw Hunter and Willow together, I was like, okay, like this is the crack ship, and I feel like other people on the crew agreed, so we were all just like working in the background to add little bits and pieces, and like I think it was like Kat who added like the little blush that Hunter did towards Willow, and I was like, yes, fuel the flames for the crack ship. Yes. Oh my god. So like I didn't do like any Huntlow things in the early parts, but I was like in the background just like, yes, all of you, good, add it. And then like when season 3 rolled around, and I think it was like I think Willow's like, I'm gonna borrow that book when you're done with it, and she like does like a little thing in the script. It didn't specify how that line was read, and I was like, can this be like a little flirty or something? And Dana was like, yeah. So I was like, bet, and I made him blush, and I was like, yes, like I've been waiting to do a Huntlow moment. Yes. So excellent. That was definitely like my fulfillment of my little fan desires, even though I technically wasn't a fan, but I still was a fan. So yes.
That's so cute. I love that. I love that you said that you were technically weren't a fan, but you still were a fan. I don't know, having ships like that on shows was like really fun. We had one like that on Thundercats Roar, where we...
Oh wait, what was it?
Can you say Tigra? It was just, it never was official, but we all secretly wished for Tigra and Mumra to be together.
Wait, let me make sure.
It was our thing. And there was a moment, I remember there was a board where like they're together, Mumra and Tigra in the car, and Tigra was just kind of like he was somewhat a prisoner, but kind of also okay with it. And Mama takes a picture of him or whatever, and then they start blushing, and they're like, "Oh."
No, listen. There have been I know it's not official, but I've seen clips floating around on Twitter of the two, and I, as a fan, could pick up from it. Like, you definitely planted some stuff, and we were like, okay, that's a little fruity, but you know.
The funniest part is that they're voiced by the same voice actor.
Self-love, hashtag self-love.
Yeah, exactly. It's like hashtag self-love. That's a good thing. Yeah.
We were, it definitely kept us going. So I understand what you mean. Like having a shop, the ship in a show is the best.
But yeah.
I feel like sometimes I struggle with like, what is the cutest version of something? Is it big eyes or little teeny empty beady eyes? Sometimes, because both are very cute to me, and I don't know which one it wins the cute contest. So you in the comments, if you want to let me know.
Oh yeah,
who
that's
wins?
true. In the do the dot are the dot eyes cuter, or are the big how do you call them,
like
the
almost
eyes
like
with
Disney
the
eyes,
the
or
shiny,
something, yeah.
like kind of like the Puss in Boots eyes?
Yeah.
Which one's cuter? I feel, man, I don't know. It's a hard question. I think for me, I don't know. I think I like the Puss in Boots kind of eyes. I feel like it works on me.
I mean, they're definitely more expressive. Sometimes I feel like I push it to a degree where it's like, this has become gross. like almost like there's too many. The eyes are too wet. I can hear them.
Yeah.
Looking at these eyes sounds like someone stirring a bowl of mac and cheese.
They're like these squishy balls where like you squish them and the eyes pop out. They're
Oh my god, please.
That's how you draw them. From Instagram, we have an interesting question from Jane Coenders. With how fast-paced some gigs are, how do you deal with them, and how do you handle things like perfectionism getting in the way?
I think, you know, I just try my best, and you you always have to make a deadline, of course, because that'll offset like the entire rest of the pipeline. So, but there's a point where it's like, try your best, and ask for help, of course. Like, don't be radio silent. If something's moving too fast and like you need help, be vocal, I guess. And just, I know I said this like 3 times already, but just like try your best, and just
try your best.
Try your best
to
get it done.
Best.
I've had lots of moments, like I said before, like it's like imposter syndrome, where I'm like, oh, I can't do this, but then I'm just like, yeah, shut up, me. Like, yes, you can. Just do it. And I'm like, okay, I never thought about it that way. Like, yeah, I'll just do it. Okay, then I do it. So.
Yeah, make like the actor who plays both of the roles that gets shipped, and have some self-love for fucking once.
Yeah.
Hashtag self-love for your creative process. Like, yeah, I mean, it could definitely just be like stressful sometimes, but you just gotta do it and try your best.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it's just like, you just gotta keep pushing. I feel like we have a lot of questions from a lot of different people from both Twitter and Instagram about portfolio. And we've talked a little bit about your portfolio. Yes. But I want to hear from you what you feel was the strongest piece in your portfolio. What would your portfolio advice be for people who want to get in?
See, I don't know if this is like a question I can answer, because I don't know if you would want to hear this answer, because I just honestly
I don't want to hear
don't know. No, like I literally
no, I'm just kidding.
I just like literally do not know like what, because the only thing in my portfolio of like real like value, I guess, towards what I wanted to do was that one board, and I think it was just, I don't think they really looked at my portfolio as much, and they rather looked at like my Instagram and stuff. So I don't know. I don't know if I can like answer like what a good portfolio is, or like what to put in your portfolio, because it's like such a changing.
I think what to take away from this is that a portfolio can sometimes be what you don't expect it to be. Sometimes your portfolio can be just your public work online, your public art that you post every day. That
in
is
a way,
part of your portfolio sometimes.
Yeah, because in a way, I feel like my Instagram, my Twitter is for like me and my nonsense ramblings and sometimes art. But then I keep my Instagram art only. So if you really want to see my art, I guess you could just call my Instagram my portfolio, because that is just art. You know what I mean? If that helps.
For a long time, my only portfolio was my Tumblr.
Yeah, and your portfolio can be your Tumblr. But I would also just say like, whatever you put in your portfolio, make it relevant to what you want to do. Like if you if you want to be a board artist, you don't include designs, or I mean you can, but like maybe make that like in another tab and not the first thing you see, because like people who look at portfolios have like really quick, like a minute to look at it, and then they're moving on to the next one. So it's like you want to be, first thing on your portfolio is your best work, concise, quick, get to the point, show me what you got. Like, I guess.
What would you say did your Instagram look like? Because you said like your Instagram was kind of like your portfolio. Did it have like little character moments? Did you do slideshows? How would you describe the overall vibe of your Instagram around that moment that you got hired?
I feel like it was mostly fan art, which I can't, I'm not sure. The topic of like putting fan art in your portfolio is kind of like touchy. That's like a touchy situation, but I would say like it was definitely like, what I posted was definitely like signs like, hey, I want to be a boarder. Like it was like character moments of like expressions and poses and stuff like that. And I think at the time when I got it, like one of my more recent stuff was the board I posted. So it's like at that specific moment in time, one of the first things you would see would be the board. So I guess yes. And you can also, they didn't have this feature at the time, but Instagram lets you pin posts now, so you can pin the stuff you want at the top of your Instagram. That's good.
I think that's great.
Yeah. God, this Huntlow is so cute.
The angst.
The angst. There's nothing like. There's a little angst between them, but it's mostly just like tee giggle, cute. Try your best. The freaking tattoo ass design.
Oh, there's another question that I forgot to ask you. Wait, it was good. It's a question from somebody on Twitter about your influences, your art influences. Like, who's an artist that's really influenced you?
If you want like a specific artist, it's probably going to be like really predictable, but I would have to say like Rebecca Sugar, clearly, because like, I mean, like I had like such a period where like I tried to like perfect like her art style as my art style, and it was like I would just like look at all of her like her art for Steven Universe and her personal posts, and I'd be like, that's like what I want to draw like. And I feel like if you look back in my art on Tumblr especially, you can probably see that attempt, but I like specific artist Rebecca Sugar, because she was like the first person who like ever inspired me. Like I was like, wow. But I mean, pretty much like everyone who worked on like Steven Universe or OKKO, like either of those shows, it's like they were also like talented, and I still think they're like talented, and like it's like crazy to think that I could work with them one day. Like I would probably geek out for a moment, but if I ever met them. But
that's so cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a question from at Victor Watchman from at Victor Watchman, and the question was, who is your biggest inspiration to being an artist? So I think Rebecca Sugar is
Rebecca Sugar,
definitely,
absolutely.
yeah.
Like, just she created Steven Universe, and her art is just so gosh darn good. Like,
So yeah, we like to ask our guests about creative block. Do you ever experience creative block? And if you do, what does it feel like? And what do you do to get over it?
yes to everything. I would say, like, I feel like every artist gets creative block, like, whether you're, any type of art. But in my case, it's just like specifically like boards or something. Um, and there's a point where it's like, you get creative block, but you also have to just like, you know, you're still gonna have, especially in like my case, where it's your job, you are gonna just have to sort of, you know, get through it, try your best, and just,
Try your best.
try your best. TM trademark. And just, and just, but in the case, it's like, if it's like, you're doing it on the side and there's like no pressure, but you still want to like, you know, develop your art style and like beef up your portfolio per se. Um, like back when I did that, and I, would just like, I can't, I would just like cannot draw anything, and like anything that I tried to draw, I was just like, this is poopy garbage, I'm not finishing this. I would maybe say like, take your second hobby if you have a second hobby. If not, get a second hobby. Like, find something else you like. Maybe do that and like focus on that for like a week. Whether it be like just, and it could be like art related. Like, you could just binge a TV cartoon or something, or binge a movie, a bunch of movies, like animated movies or something. Or like, in my case, it's like play video games, or uh I don't know, crochet or something. But I used to just like, uh I was very into like, um what's the word? Like, I was very much into like 3D modeling for fun, which is like still art, but like it's like something different, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I would do that and do it like for a week, and then by the time you like focus all your time on that, like when the week's over, you're like, oh, like that was nice, like, and now you're like, oh, okay, now that you go back to it, hopefully you'll be like, oh, like I actually miss drawing because I haven't done it in a while. So it's like, yeah, I would just say like, long, like, TLDR, like switch out your hobbies and just focus on one or the other. Like, don't, unless you have to, because like it's your job, but like I would say don't force yourself. I think that's like, maybe some people are like, oh, force it until you have to do it, but then I don't know, if you force it, you're gonna drive yourself crazy and you're just not gonna progress at all. And definitely take breaks, I would say. Just don't draw to draw. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just like the thing. Like, you gotta replenish your juices and such.
Yeah. I think that's a great answer. I feel like breaks are so important, man.
Yeah, or go on a hike. That's what I like to do. I like to go on hikes and shit. So do that.
Ooh, yeah, that's
Go.
great, Nelly. What's it like? What was it? What was it like for you as an East Coaster moving to the West Coast?
Oh, I mean, it's hotter. It's like, if you like physically, like it's like climate and stuff, and especially like being from Connecticut, it's just so different, the seasons and such, and a lot more expensive. But, that's a big one. But I don't know. It's like, it's definitely like a different way, like different walks of life and such. Like, uh, you're not gonna be able to like go to, I don't know, like, you're not gonna go sledding in California. I guess you could say that, like something like that. Like, I definitely miss it though. It's like you like just like like especially me. I was like, God, Connecticut sucks. It's so small and I hate it. And then as soon as like a month after being out here, I'm like, I miss Connecticut. It was pretty nice. It was pretty nice actually. It was kind of cool. Yeah, like I don't know. It's just like I guess it depends on you and how you feel about the East. Like, do you like where you live? If not, like if it's like I don't know. This is just me doing hypothetical stuff. Like it's like you hate your life there. Sure, like it'd probably be better to come here, but I do get homesick for Connecticut.
That's really sweet. I feel like we haven't really had an answer like this yet. About moving coasts.
Yeah, well, it's also nicer because like everyone I know is like here physically in real life. Like I can touch them and talk to them and have dinner with them. Like it's like nicer to have like friends who used to just be like these online friends that are across the country, and now they're all here. Yippee,
What's your favorite thing to do? To hang out here in LA.
Oh my god. Sorry, I just saw Micah. I was like, oh my god. Anyway, I would say I definitely like hiking here. Like especially like these mountains over here in Burbank are like so cool. But also just like how, and I'm sure this is not true for other places, but like you could like walk a lot of places here. Like it's like very walkable. Where in like Connecticut, you're just kind of like, oh, you could be in the middle of farmland and your closest Walmart is 40 miles away or something. Like like something like that. But it's also nice if you like sun, you'll love it here, and if you hate rain, you'll love it here. Like there is no change in weather, so that's also cool. And,
I mean,
the sledding on the hard concrete, like the sparks flying behind me.
Awesome. Oh, that's great. Yeah, it's pretty neat out here. The weather. I mean, it's been raining a lot recently, but.
Oh yeah, like do not take this as a sign. Like it's so funny because like my family came to visit me and it was raining the entire time, and I'm like, I thought you said it was hot all the time and dry and sunny, and I'm like, you came at the worst time. Like this is not indicative of the rest of the year. Don't like I swear. Jeez. But it looks pretty after it rains and everything's green before it like catches on fire in a few months, I'm sure.
That's so true. Oh my god. Oh man, that's really funny. I think that's yeah, I think that was a great episode. Just kind of like seeing how you like got in, like all of the like little like internal battles of like, do I belong in this like very talented crew, and then finding that you have the talent and learning from everybody on the crew.
You definitely have a very different story from a lot of the people that we've had on, and I think it's useful for people to hear that there's multiple different ways to enter this kind of scary mystery beast that is the animation industry.
Yeah, I mean, you do not need to go to, if you don't have the chance to go to art school, you don't have to. Like you said, I know a lot of people on the cruise I've been on who are just like, I was an engineering major, I was a electrician major, electricity. I don't know. My knowledge has gone over the past 2 years. So
now, if you suddenly have a bunch of regrets and you want to go back to engineering or programming, would you start a Twitter where you post fan codes of your favorite programs or something?
Oh my god! Obviously, like I mean,
that'd be the way you do it there too.
You've convinced me. I should just like quit right now. You know, like Connecticut's calling me. I should like get an internship as a coder or something.
Your rabid fans that submitted 100 prompts are screaming right now. This is the big leak that we were worried about.
Oh,
I'm sorry, Mike's fans. Creative Block has turned Mike into an engineer again.
it's like you, no more hunt load, just quadratic equations. Like,
Parabolas.
Yeah, that's a shape. I think maybe I don't know, or a line. I don't know.
Well, it's a great picture. Sean drew Mike sliding on the concrete in LA.
Perfect. Oh my god, that
Living the
Micah
dream.
and Betty is so cute. They're like in they're like little casual wear. It's so cute.
Yeah, I was scrolling through your Instagram to find your OCs. I was like, where are they?
Yeah, I don't know either. I haven't drawn them in forever. I'm also sorry to I was like I was looking at the prompts and I was like, oh, I'm gonna draw about Ouija and Huntlow and Butch and then well, that never happened. Sorry, everybody.
But the fans, they're
They came to hear
getting
you
so
talk.
much. Yeah, they're getting so much from your experience. Like, I feel like I haven't really seen you like talk about your experience breaking into animation yet. So
Yeah, I just kind of like kept to myself. It was so funny because like the whole month between me like getting the offer and then like announcing that I'm on Owl House, and it was just like me just pretending everything's normal. I'm like, haha, here's some more Steven Universe fan art or whatever. Like, there's stuff brewing in the background, but I'll never tell. Like, tea. I also didn't want to jinx myself. I'm such like a superstitious person. I was like, if I posted on Twitter, I was like, ooh, I have this opportunity, something might come out of it, and then it didn't happen, I would feel terrible. Like I would be like, oh, I jinxed it, darn it. Like, so I just like to keep to myself until things are like official. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. What would you say to all your fans who are? You've given so much good advice today. What would you say to all your fans who are looking just rabidly for a new podcast that gives advice about when you have creative block, how to deal with it?
I mean, I think I got like an email from some spam account from it's this one sounds good. Creative block, or I think that's how you pronounce it. Like,
Am I pronouncing it right? Am I pronouncing your name right?
I guess we'll never know because
Is it Mike Katsu?
Represent it.
Is it Mike Katsu?
Mike
Is it creative block?
It's so funny because like, isn't Katsudan like with a K, and people think that, and I'm like, I don't know.
Would you? That's so fun. Would you rather have us for your little like podcast final thumbnail icon? Would you? We'll put Austin. We'll put Mike Austin.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Yes.
Definitely Mike Austin. Also, the like, it's so funny because the only time I like acknowledge that it could be Katsu is I got a Japanese Wii U, and my Nintendo ID for my regular Wii U was Mike Katsu, and then my one for my Japanese Wii U was Mike Katsu with the K. Get it? Get it? It's so funny. Like, and it somehow wasn't taken, so I was like, that's me. Or I could just gaslight everyone and be like, yeah, I really love Katsudan. What are you talking about? And I just spell it because I'm quirky. I spell it with a C. What are you talking about?
I'm just dumb, so I misspelled it. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I was 13. I didn't know how to spell. What are you talking about?
Yeah, nice correcting a 13-year-old, you bully.
Honestly, I feel like as a 13-year-old, you could have come up with like so much worse than Mike Katsu,
100%.
right?
I mean, the stuff before it was really cringy. Like I think I was like Chuggy Chug before that. Like
Chuggy Chug? Now, is that a Thomas the Tank Engine reference or a drinking way too much alcohol reference?
No, it was more like it was more like a train kind of thing. Like, oh yeah, like
the little
Chuggy
engine that tried your best.
It's listen, I could not think of something inspirational to say, so there you go. Try your best. That's
Try your
really what
best.
life boils down to. If you just try your best, you'll do great things. You know.
But it's true, because then no regrets,
Yeah, I also was gonna I could have been brutally honest, but this wasn't like as nice. I was gonna also say, think of the most negative and worst thing that could happen to you in every situation, because then if it happens, you're prepared, and if it doesn't, then
That's a real pessimist point of view. That's how pessimists
but
do
that's
it.
what I do. That's what I
Nice.
do.
Okay, but I relate to that though.
No,
I
for
feel like
sure.
I catastrophize all the time, and I think about all the worst case scenarios all the time, and everything that could go so wrong and horrible. And then I'm like, my life is pretty good actually.
Yeah, because like even if like the most mediocre thing happens, you're like, wow, that's better than me fucking like dying in a car accident. Like that's
Dude.
so much better.
I feel like when Decepticons transform, they should have said Decepticons catastrophize. I feel like that would have been fucking sick. I like that
what
word.
Did they...
I've never even heard of that. Catastrophize. I like
That's
it.
really good. Catastrophize.
It exists, right? I didn't just make it up
No,
on
I
the
like
spot,
it.
right?
I hope. I mean,
Yeah.
if you did,
I mean, you might have, but let's make it a word. Like I'm saying.
yeah. If you did, then let's fucking print, save, and download and print.
I just looked it up. It's a real word, and I was gonna say I'm trying to make a little joke. My cat sutra. No, it doesn't work. Nah.
We'll figure it out. We'll
Oh,
fix it in post. Clem,
Cat sutra.
help, Clem. We need to fix it in post. We need to make the joke
Cat-
work, Clem.
Catastrophize.
Oh, you did it.
I'm saying, like,
Trophy. Yes.
Mike,
Just put that-
Mike, Cat, Steven Universe, Trufies.
yeah. That's well. Please, my father was
Oh,
Mike
no.
Cat, Steven Universe Trufies. You can just call me Mike.
Hello, Mr. Mike, Cat, Steven Universe, Trufies. Is that you?
Again, that was my father. Like,
Okay, oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh my god. The like also there was also a point in my life where when I got the job, I was like, I should change my name to Mike Cat O, like Owl House. But then I was like, that's so stupid, and I'm so glad I didn't do that, because that would have just been my cat toe. My cat toe. Like
My little
cat's
cat's
toe.
toe. Well, I mean, that's cute. I mean, I'm sure there's someone who's very happy with their screen name as My Cat Toe Beans, and I feel like that's, I'm sure they love having that name.
Well, power to them, I guess. Good for them.
But it wouldn't be embarrassing to you to have that name. If you're listening, if you're out there and you're listening, My Cat Toe Beans, it's okay. It's okay. I actually think your name is pretty good.
Oh yeah, I think it's great.
No, don't try to backpedal now.
No, I always thought it was great. I was just like,
Clem, take out
No.
Mike's retraction.
I swear, like, I love whoever. After this airs, I'm gonna give it a week, and there better be My Cat Toe Beans at My Cat Toe Beans on Twitter.
My
What would be
cat
the
Toe
comment?
Bean, if you hear this, please comment in the comment section of this
Guys,
video.
tag Mike Cat Toe Beans in the comment section of the Twitter
Oh my
post
God.
or whatever.
We surely hope to see you in the comment section of My Cat Toe Bean.
My Cat Toe Beans,
because
if you want to come on the next Creative Block podcast and talk about how you deal with Creative Block and how you came and the start of how you came up with your very good name that I like and some other people on this podcast don't like, please.
It's like the account is like created in 2010. Like they've been here for so long. And they were like, finally, someone acknowledges my hard work.
Yeah, they
After all
turned out
these
to be
years.
the best guest we've ever had.
I know they have like.
I kind of wish for that episode to happen now. Like we've talked about it so much. I see it in my brain. I'm like, I
My Cat Toe Beans.
Cat Toe Bean. And with that, My Cat Toe Bean, we're so very excited to see you on the next episode because that is the end of this creative block. Mike Austin.
Yes.
Thanks for being our guest and sharing your story.
Thank you for having me on. That was great. But I know I won't hold a candle to my Catso Bean whenever he or she or they may come on in the future, you know?
And thanks to our listeners, including my Catso Bean. Follow us on Twitter at Creative Block, where we ask for drawing prompts and questions to ask our guests. Huge, colossal thanks to our editor, Clements, for making me win that argument and making me look very good, for editing the podcast, and Malik for helping to produce the show and hopefully track down my Catso Beans in the future. V, if you I started reading your line. V, if you love the show, then you have to support us on Patreon, V.
Becoming a patron gets you early access to interviews as well as bonus episodes. Click the link in the description of this episode. I have been your host, Jean. JK, I was V.
That was in the script, and we both messed up on the script. But that's just a little shout out in case any of you guys miss Gene on instead of having me on. That's just a little bit of a shout out for you guys. And I was Sean, not Gene. Keep being creative, and we'll see you next week.
Woo! Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.